Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Evans here at Coastal Animal Hospital, where we make your and your pet's life better. Today we're going to talk, this is our second in a three-part series regarding pet food, the biggest religious topic that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. People feel very, very strongly about it, but there is such bad information out there and misinformation and terrible marketing that we're here to just dispel some of those myths. And one of the biggest things you're going to see in people talking about are there's grain-free. The grain-free fad is everywhere. You can't even pick up a treat in these days that doesn't say it's grain-free or a bag of food. And then also the byproducts. These foods will say, we don't put any byproducts or meals. So I want to kind of explain what those things are and maybe calm some people down, because again, there's really passionate feelings about this. And so we just want to provide maybe another balanced viewpoint on it and calm down some of the internet furor over these otherwise ridiculous arguments. So first off, let's talk about byproducts. And this is one of my favorite things because everybody, they'll talk to me about the food they chose, and they'll sound really proud. We're not feeding our dog any byproducts, and it's great because you think that you're doing the right thing. You're getting this marketing from these pet stores and from the internet, and you're trying to make a good choice for them, and that's really good. The problem is that the information just isn't necessarily all that useful, and I actually am a big fan of byproducts. And the problem with byproducts is that they just have a terrible name because nobody has any idea what a byproduct is. And so it was really easy for some of these pet food companies Blue Buffalo really kind of came in there and started providing a lot of this false information because it was a really easy marketing thing, could really play with people's emotions. But they really claimed first off that they weren't going to be putting any grains or any byproducts in their food. And so people assume that was actually a better state to have. It would be byproduct free and grain free. So what byproducts are, and here's the definition of it by the pet food industry. A byproduct is the non-rendered clean parts other than meat derived from mammals. It includes but is not limited to lungs, spleen, kidneys, brain, liver, blood, bone, partially defatted, low temperature fatty tissue, and stomachs and intestines freed of their content. So basically, byproducts are anything that's not meat. And so if you think about it and how it got its name is that, when we produce food animals, we're producing them for meat. We like steaks, we like, just pure meat. But then there's things that are not meat. And so what do they do with them? And that is what byproducts are. They're byproducts of producing meat. And all of those things, all of that organ meat is actually really, really good nutrition. In our culture, we just don't eat it as frequently as in other cultures around the world. But livers, lungs, kidneys, spleen, all of those things actually have a lot of really great micronutrients because you can't just eat meat by itself. It's actually pretty nutrient deficient. So most foods who don't include any byproducts just end up taking all those nutrients and adding them in one at a time to try to simulate what the liver naturally provides if you eat that. And so if you're looking for a more natural diet, you actually want one with byproducts in it. So, and chickens, it actually includes chicken feet. And a lot of cultures will eat chicken feet, and it might sound, maybe not appetizing to us, but the cartilage, and there's actually a lot of good nutrients in that and can be really beneficial for our pets. So byproducts actually are a really good protein source and a really good nutrient source, but it just has a really bad name, and was a really easy thing for some of these more unscrupulous marketing machines to capitalize on and make it seem like their pet food was better. So then there's the question of grains, and this is the biggest one that everybody is really proud of. Again, like, oh, I don't feed my dog any grains. Well, just like the gluten allergy, phenomenon that's going on, everybody seems to have a gluten allergy. Well, you don't. The majority of people don't have celiac disease, and so grains are fine for dogs. They actually, that's how, if you remember from our last video, if you watched that about raw diets, dogs actually evolved to eat grains along with people because they're eating kind of our waste from our agriculture. And so they have genes that encode for breaking down those sugars and those carbohydrates. So dogs can do really, really well on grains. And it's really not, the reason why the pet food industry has tried to market it as grain-free, is thinking that it's better, is that some dogs can have a grain allergy, but it's actually a really low percentage. More often, dogs will have allergies to beef, chicken, dairy, fish, lamb. They can have a wheat allergy. That's probably the most common of the grains, but it's really rare for them to have a corn or a soy allergy. So it's really overblown. If you wanted to actually provide a diet that was less likely to cause an allergy, you wouldn't feed them chicken, you wouldn't feed them beef. But that's what most of the food out there is based on, is chicken and beef. So again, it's just a marketing tool to try to differentiate and make it seem like they're putting some thought into their diet, when really it's just there to trick people. So some dogs might do better on grain-free, but it's, again, it's less likely that if they have a food allergy, it's going to be from a grain. And also, grain-free doesn't equal carb-free. That's the other part that people try to get them on a more high-protein, more natural, wolf-like diet. Again, see our previous video on why that doesn't really matter. But just because it's grain-free doesn't mean that it's carbohydrate-free, because there can be other starches in potatoes that also provide carbohydrates besides grain. So hopefully that kind of clears things up a little bit on why we typically don't care whether or not your food is grain-free or byproduct-free, and why we actually prefer them to have some byproducts in them. And again, there'll be passion debate on this. Some people will believe strongly with their whole world that I'm wrong, and I'm just a shill for the pet food industry, but there's no conflict of interest there. I mean, we're just providing you with that information because there's a lot of bad information on the internet, and it's hard to know what is real when you're getting it directly from some of these websites. So if you have any questions, give me a call, 760-633-2254. Visit us on the web at sdcoastalanimal.com. Till next time, I'm Dr. Evans. See you soon.